So I'm just doing my first shot and I'm composed on this nice big rock here. And you can see I've got the camera sitting there now on a tripod, and I've forgotten my bloody rangefinder for it. But that's no problem because I can just use the zone focusing or hyperfocal focusing on this camera. So I've already set my hyperfocal focusing at f11. I've got f11 1/25 of a second, and this camera I've set at f11 to be at infinite, and it gives me around about just under 12 feet, which will be the nearest in focus. So I reckon that's fine for that whole rock and the background as well, for me to take the shot. I need to use the cable release, and for my metering I just did some spot metering on the rock itself, straight on it. I reckon that'll be middle grey, so I don't really have to flaff around with trying to judge that. That rock looks middle grey, so I've just set my metering on that, which gave me around about f11 at 1/25 of a second, so that'll be fine. There's the aperture there, f11 1/25 of a second. That's my zone focusing there. I just need to cock the shutter like so. Got my cable release and take the shot. Done. Hopefully that'll come out all right. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. This evening I've come down, it's 7 o'clock in the evening, I've got a couple of hours of light left, and I've come down to Yavalon Beach to take some photographs. So I've brought with me the Holga camera, in which I'm going to be shooting the roll of Ilford HP5 400 speed film inside that. And I've also brought out with me the Zeiss Ikon Nettar. I haven't used that for some time, and inside that I've got a roll of Fuji Acros 102 film, 100 speed film, that I'm going to be shooting later on when the light gets a little tiny bit lower. Hopefully I can get some slower shutter speeds going on and some wispy water maybe. I found a football! Must have come off the cliffs. Ain't a bad ball. See if I can kick it back up there. Heads up, boys! And at the moment the tide is going out, so it's perfect for getting those nice sort of, the waves that come up and go back and come up and go back. So the tide's got some movement in it, which can be nice. And you can see behind me there's quite a bit of wavy stuff going on. I've just stopped halfway. This rock has got some nice sunlight on it, so I thought I'd grab the Holga and get my first shot with this. Just wait for a little bit more water to come around. There we go. Done. The Holga's got these little settings here for focusing, if you've never seen one of these before. Mountain, group of people, small group, portrait, which is a single person. And it's only got two apertures, f8 and f11, and there is a little aperture selector. I've got sun or a cloud. Obviously cloud is for f8, the sun is for f11, and it shoots about 100th of a second. I've always found HP5 400 in this kind of light is ideal with this for my sort of work. And these are nice shots to grab as well. This nice sea edge coming up. Got a feeling I need to get the aperture at f8 here. Get in the water a bit more. I'm going to get wet feet, but oh, nice. Huh? I ain't kicking it back again, mate. It's mine now. Wilson! Wilson! Not having it back. No way. Mine. I've named it Wilson. Hopefully tonight I'll get some decent shots. And it's just a bit of fun as well. You know, bringing out the Zeiss Ikon Nettar is a fun camera to use. Inexpensive as far as medium format goes for buying those sort of cameras. And the Holga as well, another cheap and cheerful camera, but the Holga's got its own look entirely. It's Marmite, you either like it or you don't. I particularly like it. I actually like the Holga. I think it's a nice little fun camera to use, gives you some quirky, interesting shots, and when I get back I know that I'm going to be looking forward to seeing what both cameras have produced. So let's carry on walking. So I finally made it down to the rocks. I ended up shooting the whole Holga along the way. I've got one shot left. I'm just going to take it to these rocks over here. And nice rocks there. Shot number 12. I only get 12 photographs. It's a 6x6 medium format camera. And we'll get on with the Zeiss Ikon. You guys haven't seen this for a while, so Holga's in the bag. Wilson's next to me. Don't kids ain't having it back. And there it is. Zeiss Ikon Nettar. These babies you can get. I think I got this for about 20 quid on eBay a year or so ago. I did have another one and I gave that one away, but this one was about 20 quid. 6x6 medium format. It's got a wonderful lens on it. The apertures are from 4.5 to f22, and the shutter speeds are 200, 75, 25th, and bulb mode. So there's enough there to play with, but it is a fun camera to shoot. I've also brought out some DVD covers. Remember in my last video I forgot them. I always bring out a few DVDs. Don't watch these anymore. Stick them under the tripod legs in the wet sand if I want to do longer exposures, that is. Oh, there it is. Little tiny pod there for me, little tiny tripod for me Zeiss Ikon if I want to put that on rocks and stuff and whatever. And also me light meter, that's a must because I won't be able to judge the lighting around where I am. So let's take some shots on the Zeiss Ikon. I'll show you the pictures as I go along. Hopefully I'll get this stuff in the foreground. It's not always easy to tell because it's a viewfinder camera. I can't see through the lens, but I should have this in the foreground leading off to these nice old boulders over there. So same again. Metering hasn't changed, f11, 1/25th of a second. Take my shot. And I'm only hoping that my 25th of a second on that isn't getting stuck, or you know, sometimes they can. I don't think it will. I hope not anyway, so we'll soon see, won't we? Well, you'll see before I will. Picking out this other scene here, you can see the camera's all set up ready to go. And I've metered on the sand around about here, and I'm kind of putting that sand, if we say the meter will give me middle grey, I want it to be a little bit darker than that. Middle grey was f8, I've come back to f11 on this scene. 25th of a second again, f11. Let's see if this will work. Cock the shutter, that's cocked. Done. I've got this nice scene here with the water's just coming up, and I'm not using the DVD covers because I've got it sitting on this rock. Yeah, I've got my trainers on. No comments about wellies, all right? Anyway, so same settings again. F11, 1/25th of a second. All I need to do is make sure my horizons are straight. God, it's hard to GoPro in your hand and take bloody pictures at the same time. Oh, they look straight. I'll fix it in the darkroom if they're not. Let's wait for a little bit of water to come up. There we go, that looks nice. Big one coming. There. So that's all the photographs I took on the Holga and the Zeiss Ikon. You guys have seen them already. I just ran out of light down there, and I think I actually ran out of a little bit of idea as well. It's not often that happens to me, but all I kept seeing was just dull, gloomy rocks, you know. But it is what it is. I've had a great walk anyway, and playing with my cameras, and I'll get back in a minute and look forward to developing the film and seeing what I have got. I might be pleasantly surprised. You've already seen them, and if there's any in there that I like, I might even go in the darkroom and make a print. Of course I'm going to go in the darkroom. Carry on. If I do, I'll let you know, and we'll get in there. If there's none I like in there, then I won't. But it's I don't know what the time is either. It's probably near on 9:30 in the evening. Look, it's still bright. Not bright, but it's still light, I should say. So I'm just on my way back. I've got to go right back over there, right in the far distance to where my car's parked. And the tide's still going out. Earlier on when I was coming in, I was right up there walking. Now I'm right down here walking by the water's edge. It's easier to walk on the water's edge than it is up there in the deeper sand. So I'm in the darkroom now. I'm going to make a nice print of one of those photographs, and negatives are sitting over there. I'll show you those in a minute. And after all what I said, the photographs, the negatives came out unexpectedly really well. I actually like them. Bags of tone in there and nicely exposed. So I'll show you the negs. I'll show you the one I'm going to make a print of, and I'll show you how I go through making a test print all the way through to making the final print here in the darkroom. So these are the Holga negatives. You can see they come out nice, bags of tone in there, nicely exposed. And I always trust that Ilford 400 HP5 in those lighting conditions with my Holga. I always seem to get decent results. These were developed as well as the Acros in Ilford's HC developer, Ilfotec HC, both for 6 minutes at 1 part to 31. And these are the Holga negs. You can see typical Holga. We've got this vignetting going on at the top on some of the frames and some of them not. I was lucky not to get as many light leaks. I only got one light leak on this one here. You can see it at the top. You know, that just tells me next time I need to start taping up my Holga, and a little light leak on that one as well. But other than that, they come out really nice. And the Fuji Acros 100 film, I like shooting this film from time to time. I kind of put it in FP4's category, Ilford FP4, although I think that the Acros 100 is a little bit more contrastier than FP4, but it's still a nice film to shoot. Unfortunately, it's quite expensive, but there you go. These are all developed again in Ilfotec HC at 6 minutes, and these ones have come out really nice as well. And I'm more happy that the Zeiss Ikon Nettar's shutter speeds seem to be playing for me quite well. They had a good game out there, look. So these have come out nice, and there's one particular one that I do want to make a print of, and that's this one here with the little tiny stick. Now, I found this stick up near the rocks, and I brought it down to the water's edge and took a picture of it there. That will just go back with the tide. But this is one I'm going to make a print of, and I need to do a little tiny bit of dodging and burning on this. So let's get it on the enlarger. We'll have a look and see what we need to do. So this is me negative carrier here, and when I took the picture, it wasn't perfectly straight, the horizon, almost, but I've just had to twist it very slightly inside the negative carrier so that my horizon looks straight. Nothing worse than a wonky horizon on a nice photograph. So that looks about right to me. And on top of this carrier, I've got a little tiny plate of anti-Newton glass to keep it flat. So let's put this into the enlarger, and this is my DURST M605 medium format enlarger. It can enlarge from 35mm up to 6x6 negs, which is what I've got here is 6x6. Anything over that, I'm stuffed. I won't be able to enlarge using this. I'll have to upgrade, but this does me perfectly for what I want. I think I paid about 130 or 120 quid for this a while back, some years ago now, and it's been brilliant ever since. And the way the enlarger works is it's connected to a timer. Inside this cage here is a light bulb and a condenser underneath and a magnifier here. Well, this is the condenser and magnifier, I should say. The light's going to come through the negative, through these bellows, these focusing bellows, and through the lens. This is the lens here, no different really to your camera lens, and that's my filter there. At the moment my lens is set to f4. I'm going to bring that to f8, just a couple of stops down from its most open. I always start off with a 2.5 grade filter. That is my rock to stand on, and from there I can decide if I need to use any other filters once I've done my tests. And this is my timer, so for my tests I'm just going to do 2 seconds, 2-second increments. That's set there. I'm going to press the button, it will turn the light off on and then turn it off again automatically. So this is the easel that I'm using, a simple 2-blade easel, does the job for me in my darkroom, and I've set this to 10 by 10 inch, so that's the size of the print I'm making, 10 by 10. Don't forget I've put it in there in the carrier slightly wonky, only very slightly, to straighten that horizon, so I've had to zoom in and crop in very slightly on the actual negative. And with the lights off you can now see the image projected on the easel. And all I do to get focus is put a little tiny piece of the same paper down. I always do this for good practice. and then put my grain finder on top, and when I look through there I can just focus the enlarger and until I can start seeing the grain of the negative or the photograph, the silver grain, and then I can start making some test prints. So we're looking at the negative now on the easel, and first of all I'm just seeing where to place my test strip. Where's the best part for me to place the test strip? We can see the sky, obviously everything's in reverse being a negative, so the sky is light, but on the negative it shows as dark, and that's what we've got here, and all the white bits are going to be the darker areas, such as the darker areas on the cliff, the log as well, and some of the wake of the water. A nice reflection that I've got here. So there's going to be a little tiny bit of dodging, I think, just to try and make it pop a little tiny bit, and a bit of burning maybe down the bottom to pull a vignette out. These are all the things going through my mind at the moment. But the first thing is where to place the test strip. Now I'm going to be looking at the sky and the sea, so I'm going to place my test strip along here and do my tests across this area. To me that makes more sense. I've got sky and I've got some sea, so that's where I'm going to go and do my first test, and from there I might do a couple more around this area and on the cliff as well, just to see, you know, what times around the image are best. So I apologise if it's a little bit difficult for you guys to see what I'm doing, but I need to see it at the same time. If I've got more light in it on this, I can't see what I'm doing. Anyway, there's my test piece of paper there, a bit of 5x7. So just 2-second increments all the way along. So hopefully I can see what's going on between the sea and the land and the sky. 2 seconds there. 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and the last one 14. So that's a 14-second test strip, and in it goes into the developer. I'm using Ilford's multi-grade developer. That's what I 99.9% of the time use. So I'm going to leave this in here for just over a minute and a half maybe. I've got a clock up there that I'm watching. George, shut it! I think I'm going to start needing a lot longer time than 14 seconds, or pull the aperture back down to 5.6 instead of f8 if I want a shorter time. So that's my first test print there that I've done. 2, 4, 6. Don't forget this with a 2.5 grade filter. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. And I've come right down this end thinking the sand and the white of the water looks nice at 14. So I thought, I wonder how 14 seconds is going to look on that log. So this bottom one here is 14 seconds on the log, and it's too dark, so I need to try and release the contrast a little bit, lower the contrast. So I'm going to go straight in with the contrast 0 filter, do another test, because I've got nothing in the sky either. If I keep burning with that 2.5 grade to try and get the sky back, all this is just going to go jet black, it's going to go dark. So I need to lower the contrast. The contrast 0 filter, which is this filter here, hopefully that's going to start bringing a little bit more detail in the sky, or not so white anyway, and at the same time just slowly bring up the darker areas of the print. So let's give it a go. Put the contrast 0 filter in underneath the lens. I've now brought the lens down to, or opened it up to 5.6 from f8, so my times aren't as long. And this time I'm going to go 5 seconds increments. So I've got more to play with. We'll see what happens. There's no rules. It's just doing what you feel is best. Five. 10. So this is my test print now with the contrast 0. So I've lowered the contrast, and of course then the rest of the sea and the sand is going to start looking flat, but at least I've started to get my sky away from the inertia of the paper, if you like, the white. So 5 seconds you can see the sky is just too white, but at 10 I've now started to get this kind of light just above middle grey, a little bit of shade lighter than middle grey, with 10 seconds. So I'm happy with that, but look at it's done to the sea area, so it's kind of just made that a little bit muddy. So all I need to do, I'm going to try and go for a print at contrast 0 with 10 seconds, and then just burn off, just cover the rest of the sea area with this as much as I can, or maybe my hand once it's on there, so it doesn't get as much, just maybe a few seconds. And then I'm going to use the contrast 5 filter to try and make that pop and hopefully that will tackle the darker parts like the sea shadow and the sands as well, leaving the highlights on the sand at around about maybe 4 or 5 seconds. So I'm going to turn it on for 10 seconds and try and cover the sea and the sand area and a little bit of the cliff as well for about 4, maybe 3 seconds actually. See what happens. So after 3 seconds I'll start covering. 1, 2, 3, here I go, just using the dodge tool. It may pull out a slight vignette, the cliff may go dark. So let's now put a contrast 5 filter in. So that's given my sky what I needed. And hopefully brought out a little bit of detail in the bottom of the picture. Now the contrast 5 filter, I'm going to put that on for 10 seconds. We'll see what happens. Give it a go. I should have done a little test on this, but I've gone straight into the big paper. I want to try and cover the sky as much as I can now. And that cliff as well. I think that may be too much, I don't know. And goes the paper. Now from this, I should be able to see where I'm going. I've got the times in my head what I was doing. Okay, well, yeah, the contrast 5 was, it looks nice on the sea, but just around the sand it's really blackened it, so it's getting there. Oh, I'm so close, I can feel it in my bones, I tell you. So this is the first print where I can actually look at it and say, okay, I need a little bit of adjusting. Of course I do. Look how dark the contrast 5 has put me. So this was 10 seconds overall, and then for 5 of those seconds I just covered this area, so this didn't get any contrast 0. Only 5 seconds worth, and then I put the contrast 5 filter underneath for 10 seconds just to see where that's going to go. Of course it's darkened everything down, so back to the drawing board, and this time I changed things around a little bit more. Still 10 seconds with the contrast 5 filter. This time during that 10 seconds I just covered this for a couple, this area here, you can see why it's so light, and then did the normal thing again, covered it for the rest of the time. So all this area got around about 5 seconds contrast 0, that got about 2 seconds of contrast 0, that got the full 10 seconds, and then I put the contrast 5 underneath for a couple of seconds, and then another 3 seconds just covering this area. So contrast 5 started to get us these nice black areas in the sand, but it's just too much here. So I'm reckoning the last print, all I need to do is contrast 0 for 10 seconds, cover that area for 5 of those seconds, and then plonk the contrast 5 filter in and do the same again. Just cover this for, so this area gets about 2 seconds of contrast 5, and this area gets about 3 or 4 seconds on top. Let's see what happens. So that's all I'm doing, guys, is just playing around with these contrast filters to try and get the right look. And once I've got it, I can write that down with that negative, then I'll always know how to print it. The only thing I have been doing with this paper is saving some of it by cutting the bottom off. I don't need to use all that much paper. So I'm just cutting the bottom off and using that as test strips later on, where once I've got the right print, I'll just trim the edges down and all will be tickety-boo. So contrast 0 filter now, 10 seconds, and I'm going to cover the middle of the image for 5 of those seconds. Also a little bit of the cliff as well. 2, 3, 4, 5. Cover a little tiny bit of that cliff. Done. And the contrast 5 filter is going to go in for, let's give it 6 seconds, but I need to cover the log and the rest of that sea. Let's see how we get on. So I'm just kind of done. Oh, and that's better. All that work paid off. So the contrast 5 has just built up this area and made it a bit darker, which I liked, and the cliff edges as well. The sky, the contrast 0 has given my sky back from the initial test strips that I was doing. And I covered this area. So basically all this is contrast 0 and the contrast 5 and a little tiny bit of contrast 5 just for these little wakes areas here and a little bit of the log, and then more contrast 5 in the sand just to burn it out and pull those reflections out. And I think it's come out really nice. And that's what I didn't want, was the sky to be the same whiteness as the paper. There is detail in the sky if you look very closely, but the most important thing is that the sky has gone to a more grey, a lighter grey than the paper is. The only trouble with having a dark room in your shed in the summer is it half get hot. I don't want to have fans in it because it'll kick up dust and stuff, but open the door now and again, no problem. That's the print I made there. I quite like it. It's going to go on my Etsy page, guys, if anyone wants this actual print. I've made 2 of them, one for myself and one to put on Etsy. And I think it was a well worth session going down the beach, even though I thought, I'm not too sure about the pictures. They came out really nice. So that was a brilliant fun session that I had down at the beach, nice and calm, just taking some pictures on those 2 little fun cameras, the Zeiss Ikon Nettar and the Holga as well. And coming back with some nicer than I thought negatives to make a print of that one there that I did, as you saw, under the enlarger. Not everyone prints the same. This is how I print. Take a little bit of time, play with the contrast filters until I can get it right to my own taste. And once I see it's right, done. I don't waste too much time with printing. You know, I wouldn't have gone on wasting loads and loads and loads of paper on that print, but luckily for me it came out nice, so I'm quite pleased with that. And as for the Holga camera, fantastic little thing. Some people love them, some people hate them, some people say they're crap. I actually like it. Good little fun camera to shoot. And you know, if you're not over yourself, just go and have some fun with a Holga and see what you get. I've got a couple of light leaks on a couple of my negatives, but you know, hey, it is what it is. Next time I just have to make sure that I tape it up. I usually do. I found a football, and the Zeiss Ikon Nettar works at 25th of a speed, so I'm really happy with that. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. If you did, give it a thumbs up and all that stuff. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe and whatever. I'll catch you next time. I need a shower.